Okay, so we're going to start at the pcsb.org, and if you click on the login, you'll see down here PCS Mail. Click on that, then you'll put in your district credentials, your ID, and your password. If you're already signed on, it'll just log you in. Now, up in the corner here by Outlook, you'll see the 9 dots, which is called the App Launcher. Okay, you click on the App Launcher. And you're going to look in the apps for the app called Forms. Okay, if you don't have that listed there, then you can do all apps and you should be able to find it within that list. So we're going to go and create a new form. And it's right here. It says new quiz, and then it has a list of other forms that have been created. You click on new form, and it'll give you a new form template. And you basically start off by creating a title. In this case, create the title of Great American Teaching. And you can add additional description if you want to, or you can go directly into additional content. So in this case, we're going to ask for the potential speaker's name, first name, last name, and some of that personal information that we're going to need to help register them. So now we can say first name. And in here, this will be their answer. They will put their name in there. So we just need we don't need a long answer because we're not asking for a description, or they could be multiple lines. So we just want a short answer. So we're just going to leave that in place. Then you just continue down and add new. Okay. So we're going to do another text. We're going to say last name. Same thing. Don't need a long answer. And we can do telephone number.
Mr. Beck, we had a question if you have to make this required.
Yes, that was a good question. Okay, I forgot to schedule that. I mean, toggle that. So you have these little toggles here, and when they're grayed, they're not in effect. And then when they're colored, that means they're effect. So yes, we want to have first name as required. We want to have last name required. Thank you for that. Same thing with telephone. Required. And then you could ask for another telephone or a secondary phone if you want to. Then there could be some additional information that you may not want to have as required, like address. So you can say city, say city, comma, state, zip, to put it all in one.
We had a comment too that it's always good to get the address because that's helpful when you guys are sending thank you notes after the Great American Teach-In.
Okay, so then that's your choice. You can make it required. Same thing down here. We'll make that required so that you'll have that information captured. Then, most important is the email address. And then you probably want to add something like the one that's on the pcsb.org web is let me go back. Is give them an option of what school level do you plan on speaking to? Could be elementary, middle school, high school. So we'll add something to that effect. So in this case, I used the options, the choices. So in other words, it gives you multiple choices, and then it'll give you a little radio button that they can click. So we could say all schools. Say elementary. Do another add option, it gives you another option. Say middle. Say high school.
For this, Mr. Beck, since the liaisons are creating it for their specific school, so what he's showing you guys right now is the Great American Teach-In form that we have on our website. So we'll get outside inquiries, like maybe we have somebody that works at the Dolly Museum that wants to speak. So then they indicate if they have a school preference, if they have an age preference. So you guys can decide as you're creating this, if you want people to indicate, do they prefer, since you guys are all elementary, K through 2, 3 through 5, probably something like that based on the subject and the content. So again, different ways to approach the speakers that are responding, the different choices and options. So this is one example here.
So here we could modify this to add an option. Okay.
And again, I just want to repeat, this is totally up to you. So if you're looking for things that are more specialized, you could do each grade. If that feels a little bit too overwhelming, you could do 3 categories, 2 categories, and kind of play around with what you think works best.
Okay, and then you probably want to get the information pertaining to there we go. So here we want to understand what subject matter the speaker is going to talk about. And here they probably want to be more than just a short answer. So we could say long answer, which would give you multiple lines of text. And then another question can be, another text question would be, please specify equipment needs. Okay. So we could possibly give them a long answer for that. So that's that's just a quick overview of how to create a form. Now let's do a preview of it. Okay, so we can see that we have our first name, last name, everything that we entered. Okay, and then it gives them a submit button. And we can, now when you do this, you're going to have your form created. So what you're going to want to do now is share it. Do you have a specific group of people, whether it's PTA, people that you know within a parent list or part of maybe some of your partners, that might be interested in speaking, you can share this and it creates a URL. So you can copy the URL and paste that into an email. Or you can, and for this purpose, I'm going to copy it and go back and going to paste that URL into the website. And going to have our form. And there we are. So this is what they would be presented with when you share that URL. So just put my information.
There's a couple of comments, Mr. Beck, in the question in the chat box. So the first is just a reminder, as you guys are creating questions, when you saw on the bottom, Mr. Beck was toggling back and forth between different options. So as you're selecting different kind of questions, make sure to read what it's asking you. So for example, if you're doing a multiple choice question, make sure there's a list. Someone noted too, make sure the link that you're sharing is for anyone can utilize the link, not just people within the organization. So make sure it's a shareable link for anybody, not just people in Pinellas County Schools.
Very good.
And while you're working on that, Mr. Beck, there's a question. If somebody's arranged for speakers via telephone, can they enter the information on these forms rather than asking them to do so?
Absolutely. It's just another vehicle. It's going to go into an Excel file, as I'm going to show you in a minute. And then at that point, you can cut and paste the information out of the Excel file, or you can download it. And I'm going to also share with you a Word template that you could possibly use for posting on November 17th on at the various rooms for the time slots that the registration fills.
And then Mr. Beck, could you also go over in settings? There's a function where you guys can select when someone's filling out this form that you'll get an email to your inbox so you know to check the form. Because there's kind of two different ways to approach it. One is that you go in and you're checking this every couple days. The way that I set up my forms, and Mr. Buck can go over this, is that each time someone responds, then when I go into Outlook, when I'm in my email, I'll get an auto-generated reminder that somebody has submitted a form to alert me that I know I need to go in then and look at the new information.
Also, Mr. Beck, once you're done, if you can also share how to personalize the link. Because sometimes when it's created, it's this long link, but they can actually give it a different name to make it more personable.
Very good. Okay, so I've entered the information. I'm going to press submit. And it says, thanks, your response was submitted. So now, close this out. Go back to our form, the forms link on Office 365. And you can see that we have one response. Okay. And the response.
And Mr. Beck, it's the same thing that was happening with me. So I think you'll have to stop sharing your screen and go out and then click share again, and then we'll be able to see your screen.
Okay, let me take that to the top again. So I went back to the form. Can you see it now? Okay, and we have one response, and it shows first name, last name, phone number, address, city, state, and zip, the email address, and selected elementary 3 to 5, subject matter, nutrition and health, and please specify equipment. I need an overhead projector for my laptop. So that's what you'll see. here on the responses, you'll see that you have open in Excel. Okay, so what this is the forms are now sitting on top of an Excel file. So when you view that Excel file, you're going to see each one of these form numbers are going to be shown in an Excel. I'm probably going to have to stop sharing. So when you clicked on it, it downloaded it for you. So we'll open here. There we go. Come on. Okay, so it shows that at 10:09, this particular speaker put in information pertaining to their name.
And I can't, what I see a different, yeah, I'm not seeing Excel either. I didn't know if that was just me. So if you want to stop sharing, then you can share it.
Sharing. Share the screen again. Are you seeing the Excel Office 365?
It looks like an Excel template, but there's no information.
I know
It's just straight out.
it's opening in protected view.
Okay. Well, the important thing is that seeing from the form, you guys saw where he clicked to be able to open the Excel spreadsheet.
Can you see
And
the
then
Excel now?
Here we go. Yep, perfect.
Okay. So here we go. We have the fields that were on the form. And you'll see the name. Be able to walk over and we'll see the phone number, the address, city, state, zip, email, school level, subject matter, and equipment specification. Okay, so this is information that's captured, and at this point you now have the information that you can contact them and schedule a time for the November 17th speaker presentation. So do we have any questions on that? So we know how to get there to Office 365 via webmail, doing the app launcher in the corner and going into the apps.
If you could go over what Dr. Brim asked, how you can change the URL to basically make it look pretty and not so long.
Very good. So okay. So when we do share, we can say shorten URL. Shorten URL. So we could say this is
You might want to change it so that it's not only people in my organization can use the link. There's a toggle there. so you can share it to anyone can respond.
Very good. Thank you for the comment. Shorten URL so that you can go in here and state.
See if it's going to work at Great American Teach-In.
Let's probably try. It's not letting me type right now.
And we had a comment too, if you want to go over settings for deadlines. I lost the chat. Hold on a second. Go over settings for notifications and automated emails to form users, like for example, to set a deadline.
Okay, can you repeat that, please? Dr. Brim, it's not allowing me to modify this at this point. But that's where you would do that. You would come in here, say shorten URL. And it's not letting me do it.
And then in settings for notifications and automated emails to form users, such as setting deadlines.
So over here, you could say anyone can respond like Ms. Shipley stated, and start date, end date, responses. Oops. Try some stuff here. Some settings. Accept responses, start date, allow receipt, get an email notification of each response. So this way you just get a little, you get a little notification that says, hey, I have one or whatever as it comes in, so that you can respond and take the action, opposed to, waiting, a week or so and then having a enormous amount of work to do. So this way you could keep track of it by clicking on that.
Great, thank you, Mr. Beck. If you want to stop recording.
Would anybody interested in a template, a Word template for posting? Once you have a schedule for various rooms?
Yep, we're getting some responses that would be helpful.
Yes.
So then what we had talked about too, just so you guys know that in our next meeting about 2 weeks from now, because I know that was kind of a lot of information to just kind of digest and how to approach it. Then in about 2 weeks, which puts us mid-October, we can start talking about, as you're getting these responses and as you're following up with people, how to start organizing that master schedule. So I was gonna, and if we're recording, I can keep going. You want to make sure when you have this Excel sheet, as you're following up with people, that you're marking that you're following up. So just very simple Excel tips, like I like to use highlight in yellow. Sometimes you want to group people together if you want to use different colors, but you want to make sure if you have a larger school and you have a lot of speakers, I don't know how you guys are, but if I don't check it or mark it or highlight it, I'm like, did I call them? I think so. I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't. So again, if you're a smaller school and it's more manageable and you're not going to have as many people, but it's really good to develop those organization skills with Excel and on spreadsheets to indicate who you've talked to. And then again, we can do trainings in the future, how to filter and sort and how to color code for those people that are a little bit more advanced to do some additional training. But this is a really good start, at least how to approach forms, creating one for those initial responses for speakers that are interested in Great American Teach-In.
Okay. Can everybody see the schedule for Gotti speakers form or template? Okay.
No, I see like a list, a menu.
Don't you see schedule for, no? Okay. Stop sharing. Start this again. How about now?
Yes.
Okay. So after I talked to Mrs. Lenarduzzi yesterday, says that some of you might need just a little bit of assistance to, create some type of posting form. Once you have a schedule, and you might have one room that's going to be used, or if you have a lot of speakers, you might have several rooms. So therefore, I believe part of your responsibility is to assist and list out the speakers throughout the day for the various rooms. So this way, I created this little template that I can send out to you, and you just put in I'm going to be there from 8:30 to 9. So that way, see that Mr. Beck's got that time slot. And then the next speaker, whatever you schedule throughout the day. So this way you could print it out. You don't have to do any handwriting. You could just come in here, update it for the times that the speaker is going to be there, and then post it on the meeting room, wherever they're going to be speaking.
And we had a question about if you can access this in Teams. Yes, I will upload this. I'm going to upload this recording. And like I said, Kim has shared, and we're working on tips and tricks for different ways to approach. And that will also give you an idea as you're creating these forms, what kind of questions, additional questions you may want to ask. Like, I know some people have asked about how long someone wants to speak. So it might be helpful for you to know that their presentation is only 20 minutes as opposed to somebody that wants to speak an hour. I think that's especially important at elementary school. As we get into Great American Teaching for middle and high school, most presenters are going to present that full length of time. So just something to think about if there's somebody that wants to present shorter or longer. And you can see on when we uploaded, elementary, it's only 20 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. I didn't know that. So I'm learning too. So I guess you don't need a time, but I will say with the form that we uploaded on